Okay. So, Jai Sriman Naranal, welcome. So, last week we touched and continued a little bit discussion on Hrushi. So, every word that is used by Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, he used very extremely carefully. There is no redundancy in what Sri Krishna's Bhagavad Gita. You cannot find it anywhere. So it was used with very caution and very uh, perfectly. And Sanjaya communicated it very well to Dhritarashtra, and Bhagavan Vedavyasa captured it very excellently in the Mahabharata. So in first chapter, we don't find much of reference of Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So wherever Krishna's name is mentioned, or Krishna said this, for that Sri Bhagavan Vacha is mentioned. But in occasionally there are mentions of some cryptic words, right? So these cryptic words are called sabhiprayakas in Sanskritam. So these are like you all know, right? Abhiprayam. I mean, I think I need to probably elaborate a little bit for those who may not be familiar. Abhiprayam. What does abhiprayam mean? Anybody? Abhipraya. We use in Telugu also.
Opinion.
Opinion. Perfect, sir.
Opinion.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. So, opinion, sabhiprayakam is like an opinion, expression of opinion. And these opinions are captured as cryptic words. Like when we were learning the meanings of earlier sloka, Madhava Pandavaschaiva, the 14th sloka, right? The sloka where the essence of Bhagavad Gita was captured. Madhava, why Madhava and Pandava were used? Why was Arjuna called Pandava? Why was Krishna called Madhava? Right? Those are Sabhiprayaka, because there is a opinion of opinion expressed by Bhagavan Vedavyasa when he mentioned about it. Right? So that is called Sabhiprayaka. And this Sabhiprayaka, Hrushikesha, is another Sabhiprayaka. I mean, so actually, why do we need to even enjoy that, right? Like, so these words are mentioned for a reason. And if we understand the real meaning and go between the lines, we call between the lines, right? So when you go over, it's black and white, you don't get much of enjoyment. But when you go into the gray area, you really dig deep into the meaning. You understand in depth the concept, then we can enjoy the beauty of that sloka or anything. For instance, any drama or any movie that is made very well, if you really understand the characters, and you can really enjoy it, right? So connecting the dots. I mean, the regular features what we see that may not get much of benefit for our soul, but we really enjoy it like as a pleasure. But in this case, understanding the true meaning of these sabhiprayakas in Bhagavad Gita, that gives not only the enjoyment, but it gives us the conceptual depth, right? So as soon as we hear the word Om, like what in 14th sloka, what we learned, in our mind should come that the Ratham, right? Ratham where Krishna is driving, and then Arjuna is sitting. Arjuna is us, right? That's what we understood. So that picture, when it comes to our mind, that's it. We have accomplished what our goal is, right? If we just move on without understanding it, if we just touch at the surface level, I mean, within like a few hours, we can finish the entire Bhagavad Gita. But we really did not understand it. We heard from this year and then leave it out from this year, right? So we are not doing justice to to Bhagavad Gita if we really don't understand the true meaning of these things. So now in this case, Hrushikesha is expressed to clear some of the doubts we got, right? Why was everyone quiet during the war, right? When Bhagavad Gita was being taught, right? How was Sanjaya able to hear from so far? Of course, the Divya Drishti was given to Sanjaya by Bhagavan Vedavyasa, so he could hear from distance. But if it was noisy, chaotic, he wouldn't have understood even one word. So how was he able to understand? And so those kinds of questions, um, then it is a clue that is given to us by Sanjaya and Vedavyasa that the Hrushikeshatvam was being shown by Lord Sri Krishna. So Hrushikesha, as we learned, is Hrushika Isha. Hrushika means Harshate, Hrushyate, Harshayati. Iti Hrushikaha, meaning the that which enjoys and which lets us enjoy. These are Indriyas. And Hrushika Isha is controller of Indriyas, our sensory organs, and not only human beings, of all life forms. And that's how Sri Krishna, he was able to control the sensory organs of all the living beings. And so the reason he had to show Hrushikeshatvam is, right? See, as we learned, I think, in the initial sessions, there is the entire lakshyam or the goal of Krishna Avatara was to give this Bhagavad Gita, and specifically the Charama Slokam. Charama Slokam, which is going to come later in the 18th chapter, the 66th shloka is called Charama Slokam. That is the end goal of Krishna Avatara. Actually, that's what our acharyas say. That is the reason Bhagavad Gita was taught. It's like our Swamiji explains, it is like if you put in a small gift and then put multiple wrappers around it, but the actual truly what matters is that small gift that is inside it. You keep on opening all the wrappers. Open the Mahabharata is one wrapper. After that, you open Bhagavad Gita is one wrapper. The end goal is the Charama Slokam of Krishna Avatara. So that slokam had to be given before the war started. I mean, so for that matter, actually, every avatara has a charma sloka. So that's what we chant every day in Guru Parampara when we chant early morning in the Anushtanam, the charma slokam of each avatara. So it's very beautiful to understand. Each avatara has a charma slokam. Not many of us probably are familiar, right? So the every avatara's goal is to give a charma slokam, and in Krishna avatara, it is the charma slokam that is in the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. Okay, so now in order to give Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, I mean, if the first weapon is like drawn and then shot, that's it. There is no opportunity to teach Bhagavad Gita, right? Everything has to be taught before the war starts. Okay. So now, but in order for Bhagavad Gita to be taught, Arjuna has to ask the question, right? That's what in all of our Upanishads, every Upanishad has a question and answer. That is the greatness of our scriptures, right? Because our scriptures, our culture, our tradition encourages question and answer. So there is no taboo of asking any questions, right? All questions are encouraged, but with respect, right? So so that has been exemplified in all of the Upanishads. Every Upanishad has question and answer, question and answer. So now in this, so Bhagavad Gita is Upanishad Saram, right? Sarva Upanishado Gavaha Dogda Gopalanandanaha, right? So all the Upanishads Saram is Bhagavad Gita. the essence of all Upanishads is Bhagavad Gita. So now, following the tradition, only if Arjuna asks, Krishna can tell. Right? He can't tell without asking, but he won't ask. Right? It's like a catch-22 situation. Right? So, when only if Krishna starts teaching, then he can ask. But Krishna can't tell if Arjuna is not asking. Right? In actually, on a lighter note, I don't know if other languages, but in Telugu there is a sameta, a proverb is there. Uh, there is a పెళ్ళి అయితే కానీ పిచ్చి కుదరదు పిచ్చి కుదిరితే కానీ పెళ్లి కాదు అని దర్ ఇస్ అ సామెత ఇట్స్ మీనింగ్ ఇట్స్ సమ్ దిస్ ఈస్ లైక్ ఎ క్యాచ్ 22 సిచ్యువేషన్ రైట్ సో in here Arjuna has to ask but Krishna and he won't ask. So now Krishna has to create the situation by showing his Hrushi Keshatvam. That is what is showing the sloka 20. अधव्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः हृषीकेशं तदा वाक्यम् idamaha mahipate. So, and Sanjay is saying, Hey Mahipate. Mahipate meaning, Hey Dhritarashtra, O King Dhritarashtra. Hrushikesham tada vakyam. So, to Hrushikesha or with Hrushikesha, with Krishna, with Lord Krishna, Arjuna spoke like this. Like what? When did he spoke? Dhanurudyamya Pandava. Meaning, when his bow was hoisted, ready to fire, right? Dhanurudyamya Pandava. Pravrutte Shastra Sampate. Meaning, so when the firing of the weapons was about to start, right? That is when Kapidvajaha. Who is Kapidvaja? Anybody? This is very trivia question. Kapidvaja. What does Kapidvaja mean? I mean, the meaning is right here. Sorry to ask, but I think probably many of you
ఫ్లాగ్
already know.
అదే
Uh-huh.
రథం మీద ఉండేది కపిధ్వజం అంటారు కదా
Kapidvajam, yeah. Jandapai Kapiraju, right? They say
Yeah.
that Tirupati Venkata their Padyam. So Jandapai Kapiraju meaning so Arjuna's Ratham had that flag on which Hanuman promised that he would be there on Arjuna's chariot, but the flag was carrying Hanuman's image and so that's why it's called Kapidvaja. Uh, so Drishtva, after seeing who? Dhartarashtra, meaning sons of Dhritarashtra, basically Kauravas, or people belonging to Dhritarashtra, right? So Dhartarashtra, Adhavyavastita, they were all ready, like set to go, right? So at this moment, so the Dhanurudyamya, so now before the first firing happens, the Hrushikesha word came here. So that means by this time, already Krishna, by blowing his conch, he made everybody quiet. Now all the souls that were in the battlefield, that was the first step he did. That he we looked in the 13th sloka, right? No, 15th sloka. Right? Hrushikesha was first mention came here in the 15th sloka. By blowing the conch, Panchajanyam, he made everybody quiet. Okay, that was the first act of Krishna as a Hrushikesha. First act of Hrushikeshatvam. Now the second act of Hrushikeshatvam is when Arjuna was ready to fire his bow or arrow, then he suddenly got inspired. Inspired to do what? To say something. Right? That is what Hrushikesha did. Okay? So what did he say? Arjuna wanted to say something. Now let's go to the next sloka. So Arjuna Uvacha. Senayorubhayormadhye radham sthapaya achyuta. Okay, so what did he say? He said, Ubhaya Sena Madhya. Madhya means in the middle, right? Ubhaya Sena means both armies. Sena means army, Ubhaya means both, right? Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Radham Sthapayame Achyuta. Okay, this is another beautiful word describing Krishna's quality. We'll come back to this. But Radham Sthapaya. Take this Radham and stop it in the middle of two armies. Okay. We don't know why he said. Okay, let's understand. Try to understand why he said that. Maybe in the next sloka, he says, "Yavadetan niriksheham yodhukaman avasthitan kairmaya sahayodhavyam asmin ranasamudyame." So what he is saying is asmin ranasamudyame. So in this challenging war, kair maya saha yodhavyam. My friends on my side, yodhavyam. So the who are ready to fight. Yodhukaman avasthitan, who are all assembled here, the yodhas, right? The warriors. The warriors, why did they assemble? Yodhukaman, meaning the desiring to fight, right? The warriors, right? The warriors who have assembled here, who are on my side, basically Kair Maya Sahayudam, on along with me, on my side, whoever is going to fight, Niriksheham Yavadeta. Niriksheham meaning I want to see them, right? So I want to see all the people who are assembled here, all the warriors who are assembled here, who are ready to fight on my behalf, right? That's what we can say, right? So this is that is the reason he stopped and asked Krishna. Okay, so now next in the 23rd sloka, what is he's continuing? He's continuing to say something else. Here, yotsyamanaan aveksheham ya etetra samagataah धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः. So now in the sloka 22, he spoke of on his side people. He described his people. I want to see my own people, right? On my side. Now in 23, he's talking explicitly on the opponent side. I want to see them, right? Yuddhe priyachikirshavaha, interested in doing a favor to whom? To Dhartarashtrasya, to the Duryodhana. Basically, Dhartarashtra in this case is Duryodhana. And Dhartarashtrasya Durbuddhehe, meaning the wicked Duryodhana. So, wicked Duryodhana and his people, basically. The Dhartarashtras are all people of Dhritarashtra and also Duryodhana, right? So, Durbuddhehe, ya etetra samagataha, assembled here. So Yotsyamanaan Aveksheham, the Yodha Yotsyamanaan, the warriors basically, Aveksheham. I want to see them, right? Ikshana, Ikshana, the Nirikshana, this is all basics of Sanskrit, right? So meaning seeing, right? So I want to see the people who have assembled on the opponent side. To see who are the warriors there. So I want to see on my side and I want to see the opponent side. Why did he even ask that, right? Like he knew even before the battle started, for many, many weeks before that, they were they were planning for the war, and they all knew they worked very hard to get the some of the people to work on their side, and they know exactly who is fighting on the other side. But why suddenly Arjuna? It doesn't make sense if you read between the lines, right? I mean, if you just go on reading this, I mean, you would think that okay, he asked and he went. But if you stop for a while and you think about it, um, the background is he should already know who are all assembled there, technically. Then why did he ask that question? So that is what the second Hrushi Keshatvam, which is shown by Krishna here. That is why Hrishikesha is mentioned. So you can see complete transformation from this side, on this side, Dhanurudyamya, and suddenly he started talking about going to the in the middle of the armies, and start like looking at who are all there, right? So uh, now this is the second task of Krishna, right? So the first one was when he completely broke the hearts, right? Hrudayani Vyadarayat. The people of Dhritarashtra, their hearts were completely broken. And that's the first Hrushikeshatvam he did. And then he controlled here Arjuna's, like, so he froze, Krishna froze everybody in the battlefield, but only Arjuna's senses he opened just a little bit, like you open the tap in the kitchen, right? As much as you want to open. So just controlled opening of the faucet so that his emotions can flow in a controlled manner, right? So that so the and that is actually even in our case also. It's been Hrishikesha, we discussed, right? The sensory organs, who is the primary controller? Hrishikesha is Krishna, right? Everybody understands now. But really, what is controlling our indriyas, right? Are we controlling our indriyas as we speak right now, right? So we think like right now I want to see this computer. So I am controlling my indriyas, and I want to go and drink or eat or whatever I want to. So I'm controlling my indriyas, my own indriyas. That's what we think we are in complete control of our own indriyas. But our acharyas say, is this, do we have a complete control like what Krishna can do on with our indriyas, right? Whatever he wants to do, he can extract from it. But do we he really have? And people think that we have control. But what our acharyas say is a very beautiful example our acharyas give. They say that our control of our indriyas is like I mean, we have a freedom of our indriyas, but it is a conditioned freedom, right? Conditioned freedom in the sense, like in a fish in a tank, right? If you put a fish in a tank, it has only limited conditional flexible or movability. And it can go only from center to this end and then this end. It goes here and there, here, and that's it. It can't go anywhere beyond that. Beyond that. Even our control on our indriyas is like that. It can only go to some extent. So when some people do a lot of sadhana, meaning the meditation or very dedicated self-discipline, they have little bit more control on their indriyas, but that they even their control goes only to some extent. So and Krishna is the one who can control perfectly or completely the indriyas of everybody. Actually, what our acharyas say by going through the scriptures, that it's not only the human beings and the creatures that were there on the battlefield. So all the devatas, like all the name it, all the devata forms, they all knew that Krishna was going to show his Vishwarupa on that day. Right? That's why in the Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga, he says that everybody, all devatas, rishis, everybody is always willing to see me in this fashion. Once he starts showing the Vishwarupa, to Arjuna he tells, you this is my form which everybody wants to see, all the devatas also. So in this battlefield, devatas were ready to see, all the rishis, great rishis, devatas, they came assembled to see there, and then he controlled their indriyas also. That's what our acharyas say. Right? So now the so now in the battlefield, whoever was hearing Bhagavad Gita, they were also controlled hearing, so they could not understand, right? So that is the um, um, that's what Sri Krishna's Hrushi Keshatvam, the second instance here, right? So he can do with his sankalpam. So anything like Paramatma, our Acharya say, uh, if anything to accomplish, like even for the creation of the universe, right? Even Bhagavatam explains it clearly. When the beginning, it was only A was there, and then it came next Om came, right? That's what I think we discussed before also. So that expansion and taking insight, this is a cycle that according to our Bhagavatam that goes on. Paramatma, Sri Krishna, I mean Sri Hari Narayana, so who whatever name you call, right? Paramatma, Parabrahma, Narayana. I mean, Narayana name itself indicates that it is a Nara Ayana. I mean, those who have gone through the Ashtakshari, what do you call the Samashrayana, they know. So the all the beings on this in this universe, whether movable or immobile, they are all called Nara in Sanskrit, right? Ayana is support from inside and outside is Narayana. That's what it describes. There is a Paramatma, then there is it describes Narayana is a word that describes the one supreme controller who can support every movable and immobile thing in this universe from outside and inside. That's exactly that's actually the meaning of Narayana, right? And Sri Krishna is the avatar of Sriman Narayana, right? So that's what they say in scriptures. It says Tadaikshata Bahusyayam Prajayeya, meaning so he can do everything with his sankalpam just in a very split second. Satyakya bhavat niruktam cha aniruktam cha nilayanam cha anilayanam cha satyam cha nrutam cha satyam abhavat tyadidam kincha. So that explains that with just his sankalpam, entire universe can originate in a moment and then it can go back in a moment into him. That's what our scripture says. So, uh, and he comes and so with this Hrushikeshatvam, just like he taught Arjuna Bhagavad Gita, it's like if you imagine, right? See, the next, what is going to follow, you understand, right? Once with Hrushikeshatvam, he controlled Arjuna's senses, and then he taught him entire Bhagavad Gita, just opening up that faucet. Right? It's like if you take it in a lighter note, it's like a mother when feeding some kind of a medicine to a baby, like a 6-month-old baby, 1-year-old baby. If they don't want to take medicine, they just put the medicine inside and then push it down for their good, right? So it's like that. He controlled his senses and then taught Bhagavad Gita, and that's what he does. Our acharyas say He comes back and back whenever things go wrong. He teaches us so we can get better and then worse. When then we get worse, and then he has to take avatara again and again. So because there is a saying, our acharyas say, Nahitam vakratam dhruvam najahati, meaning the dog's tail is like what do you call this? Vankara, the curved. Right? Always it is curved. Even if you put a stick, tie a stick and then put rubber bands around it, make it straight. After the stick is taken out, again it goes back in a curly fashion, right? So that is how human beings, that's what it says, nahitam vakratam dhruvam najahati. So it temporarily becomes straight, right? So like for instance, our acharyas gives an example. So when during take the example of COVID, right? So COVID time, somehow it came like because of human mistakes or whatever uh, plan was there. COVID came, Corona came. But when COVID came, we all know everything was so all the life forms were enjoying outside. Humans were tied inside, and lockdown was there. Everybody was tensed until the vaccines came. But of course, everything got better, and then people start going out. Then what happened? We have seen multiple wars came, and then terrorism and whatever pollution, everything back to normal. Right? So that's what the example of Acharya gives, that we don't learn from our own mistakes. So that's the nature of the human beings. That's why Lord Srimanarayana has to come back and back again and again. And then, and actually in Vishnu Sahasranama, there is a name. It's Anirvinnaha, right? Anirvinnaha meaning, Nirvinnaha meaning pessimism. Anirvinnaha means lack of pessimism. It's basically optimism. Anirvinnaha Sadamarshi Lokadishtanam. So that Anirvinnaha is a optimist, is a perfect name for Sri Mahavishnu, because he is like a farmer who doesn't get tired. He comes back and back again for our benefit. He gives good things for us, like meaning knowledge, basically, right? So all the physical things, what I mean, we can make all the physical things happen for us, but the knowledge is the one which he gives with his presence. Either he shows by example through like Ramayana. If you see all the examples of how a human being has to live, and then Krishna Avtara is a is just a teaching, like a Jagadacharya he became by. So now by Kali Yuga beginning, like Dwapara, this yugas, right? All of you know yugas, like the four yugas, Chatur Yuga, like Kruta Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and now we are in Kali Yuga. We are around 5,000 plus years since the beginning of Kali Yuga. Now, 5,000 years ago, when Dwapara Yuga was ending, and he wanted to give this knowledge because it was going to be lost. I mean, by that time itself, there was a lot of loss because of the Yuga Dharmas. Now, he knew that when Kali Yuga comes, so people need some kind of a protection, right? So I mean, not probably may not be everybody wanting to even know, even if the knowledge is available. But for those who need or who experience the want, right? Like one example our Acharya gives is like if there is a rain, I mean, people act three different ways, right? One is people who just, when it is raining, just sit at home and then let it pass. And then there is a second category, people who go out and enjoy it without whatever they want to do, right? They experience through that and they don't even protect themselves. But the third category of people, they they want to do the work even while it is raining, right? For those people, they need either umbrella or a raincoat. If they have a raincoat or umbrella, they are shielded, they are protected from the rain, so they can perform their duties. Similarly, if there are challenges in life, those challenges, how do we shield? Either we can act three different ways. One is just quit from the in the face of challenge, or we are we experience the go through the challenge without knowledge and then suffer, just like the people who they go into the rain, right? Get wet. But the third category, we want to be in the third category where, in spite of facing the challenge, we want to experience that with our shield of knowledge, and then come out of the challenge on the other side not being harmed or without any injury, right? That is what the goal is. So, um, and for us to get the shield, that is what Bhagavad Gita is. So he gave as a shield of knowledge through Bhagavad Gita, and by through his Hrushi shatwam, controlling the senses of everybody in the battlefield, controlling the senses of Arjuna, conditional control of senses of Arjuna, and the conditional and the control of devatas. And devatas are all other than other than Sriman Narayana, according to our scriptures and our acharyas, is all are devatas, right? That's what we call. The uh, so devatas are great souls, devata visheshas they call, right? So they have like Brahma Rudradi Devatas. You might have heard this saying, right? Brahma Rudradi Devatas, Agni, Indra, Vayu, all Devatas, they are there for a purpose, and they're very respectable, and they run the things. But but when they in our here also they in the schools they teach children Hinduism is polytheism. So it's all like kind of misunderstanding. So I mean, if there is multiple polytheism, there is a competition, right? There is no such competition. Things go in order. That means there is only one Paramatma, right? So who is the Hrushikesha, right? So uh, Hrushikesha, he teaches us, and so the multiple times in this it is mentioned that showing his Hrushikeshatvam, right? So and then there is going to be one more instance of Hrushikeshatvam here, right? So in the 25th sloka it will come. I think probably will, I think 24th sloka. So we'll briefly touch on this. So what is happening here is in the 23rd sloka, we understood Dhartarashtra, he wanted to see the opponent side, right? Arjuna wanted to see in the 22nd sloka on his side who are all fighting. 23rd sloka, Dhartarashtrasya durbuddhehe, all the evil-minded people of supporting Dhritarashtra's people, right? So on the opponent side, I want to see. And then एवमुक्तो हृषीकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्. Meaning, so what did Arjuna say here in the 21st sloka? Senayor ubhayor madhye radham sthapaya me achyuta. Please stop the radham between the armies, he said in 21st. Now, if you see exactly to the point, right, whatever he said, exactly he did. Senayor ubhayor madhye sthapayitva rathottamam. So, in Telugu we call tucha tapakunda, right? Meaning there is no miss of any that instruction. I mean, in a way, actually, Arjuna gave it in a, like a very commanding way. He gave that command, that ordering instruction to Krishna, and Krishna did not feel any bad about it, right? But he followed exactly to the to the point, his instruction. So now, and as you probably are now familiar, right? I told earlier, whenever there is Hrushikesha, there is a transformation happening from before and the after, right? So that's what is going to happen next, the transformation. So that probably, I think we will touch upon it in the next session. We'll discuss, but I think the what's the transformation before discussing that, right? So here is saying Guda Kesena Bharata. So um, the Gudakas, does anybody know the meaning of Gudakesha? So there is a meaning. There is a, in Sanskritam, Nidra Alasya iti Gudaka, meaning there is both Nidra and Alasya. They are called Gudakas. Nidra, we all know, it's like sleep, right? Uh, what does Alasya mean? Anybody?
Laziness.
Oh, perfect. Okay. That's a great example, great meaning you might. I was expecting, uh, say, delay or late. In Telugu, it is called, it means late, but actually in Sanskritam, it is laziness. So both sleep and laziness, Isha meaning controller. So basically, this is Arjuna is being referred to as Gudakesha, um, because he was a great person actually. He's not a ordinary being. That's why actually Krishna was with him and he wanted to be with him, because he was a very capable person. So he defeated both Nidra and laziness, sleep and laziness. He was full in control of his Nidra, sleep cycle, and no laziness at all. So yeah, the so he Hrushikesha, and then he is Gudakesha, right? So asked Gudakesha by Arjuna, Senayor Ubhayor, as asked by Arjuna, he stopped the Ratham between the two armies. Okay. So now what is this Hrushikesha is going to transform now in Arjuna, that we will touch in the next session. Okay. Any questions or feedback or any comments on today's session?
Just to let you know, like add on to what you said about laziness and in nidra, sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a shloka, Alasyam hi manushyanam sharirasto mahan ripuhu.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Very similar to this, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Mahan Ripu, the enemy, basically
Enemy.
biggest enemy of Manushya, is Alasya. And what's the full sloka again? Saying?
Alasyam hi manushyanam
Okay.
sharirasto mahan ripuhu.
Okay. So it is, so laziness is the biggest enemy of our body. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Sripriyaji. So any other pointers? Okay. All right. So it was a great session. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. We'll wrap up with the ending slokas. Um, So, Om Agni Naya Supataraye Asman Viswani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yuyodhyasmat Juhuranamenaha Bhuisthante Nama Uktin Vidhema Om Purnamidam Purnamadaha Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyaha Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyaha Om Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha Jai Sri Manarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Sri Krishna.
Jai Sri Manarayana.
Jai Shri Manarayana.